Hi friends, this is Amanda Nardozzi. I'm a psychic medium. Welcome new, welcome returning viewers. For those of you who didn't know, I have ferrets and I wanted to channel up here with them today while I do your reading. Oliver's just a little menace and he's getting into all kinds of stuff. So I have him in my grasp at the moment and he's a little bit frustrated with me. Hi, I love you. Hi. Oh. I was worried he would bite me for a second because that's just what he does. All right. Go play. Be gentle. He's trying to find something to climb on as we speak right now. There's also Coda. He's a sweetheart. He's around here somewhere. He's either digging at something or taking a snooze. But before I get into channeling, I do want to tell what we're channeling. So I grabbed a lot of soft, gentle decks today. So whatever this is, you'll be receiving a gentle message that will, I don't know, it's like the feeling of wanting to take those feminine qualities within us and lead. So I wanted to channel Divine Feminine today. Now I won't go over the differences between Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine in this video. You can go look that up and Google. YouTube is a great resource. There are all great resources for that. But right here, I will just preface by saying that everybody has Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine qualities. The way that they typically present to me is that Divine Feminine usually is very soft, encouraging, loving. They are gentle, and then it also comes through with a touch of letting things flow and connecting more with the intuitive side. It's a different side of creation. Now, when you're connecting with your Divine Masculine, that is a different side of creation where you're very logic, goal-driven. I find that energy is typically, to me, it feels more blunt, to the point. Not necessarily rude or, brash. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. But it's not, it's just very direct. It tends to be very direct, more like this is the practical, concrete things that you need to do in order to achieve your aims. It is very like it's the fluid motion of bringing your dreams to reality or bringing your creations to the earth. So works very much in yang energy, I find. Divine Feminine works often in the yin. So that being said, we're going to pull from a few decks today. We have the Mystic Mondays Tarot here, and then we have a few other Oracle decks that I want to be channeling with. So I will ask that you come into the sacred space with me. So call in whoever you would like to help channel this reading with you, whether they be loved ones on the other side. For me, I like to channel in the Archangel, so I like to call in Archangel Michael for casting a light of protection around us. And thank you to Archangel Haniel for helping connect with my intuition, help our audience connect with their intuition, and help them harness their divine energy to lead. Thank you for helping them learn to rise with their Divine Feminine. So how can you rise with your Divine Feminine? And thank you for sharing this message with the collective for the highest good of all. Okay, so I'm going to be reading off of simple cards at first. Actually, you know what? No, I don't want to do that. So I have 3 Oracle cards here. I'm pulling from the Grief, Grace, and Healing deck by Tanya, Carroll, Richardson. And this deck is split up into 3 different kinds of cards. So we have Grief, we have Healing, and we have Grace. And each of the front of the cards is different depending on what section of the deck you're in. And all 3 of them are grief cards. So there's a lot of healing involved. There's a lot of feeling out your grief. There's a lot of connecting with your emotions. And we'll get into those specific cards in a minute. But I do want to pull the tarot and figure out what exactly is going on here. Okay. All right, yeah, let me dive into this Oracle card first, and then we'll situate into tarot. So we have grief. This one says, administer snail's pace medicine. Slowing down could be good medicine now. This allows time to process everything going on, be with your emotions, and rest. It may be beneficial to put off lower priority items on your to-do list for a bit. create open space in your schedule. Inching along at a snail's pace is a huge accomplishment when you're grieving. This, you don't necessarily have to be in a grieving state, but this could be just a transition from a cycle. If you are grieving the loss of a cycle, grieving the loss of an individual or a situation, or just maybe you went through a breakup or something, this is like that's the term how grief would apply in this particular reading. But there's something here about like a loss of some kind, and then needing to it's almost like I'm hearing something about you're developing a new way of being. I just heard like I am developing a new way of being, and I'm trying to it's almost like you're having trouble directing your energies because there's a lot going on, or you're planning a lot for your day, or you've been trying to jam pack your day with more. And even if it feels like you're not doing too much, it's almost like because you haven't been resting, or because you haven't been doing the appropriate rest, even doing like 1 or 2 tasks for the day, which might not seem like your normal amount, it might not seem like a lot to you, it feels very draining, and Spirit keeps saying do less, do less, do less. So this divine energy is saying to slow it down hardcore. I know some of you may not want to hear that, especially if you're like, oh, but I know in my sector of the world it's spring, so I'm like, what do you mean I have to slow down? That's not happening. I got a garden to work on, I have plants to clear out of my space, I got to start planting shit inside so I can move it outside when the weather gets warmer. Like, spring is my time, y'all. Let me tell you, spring is my time. But emotions don't operate like that sometimes. So they're on their own clock. Divine timing is on its own schedule. And honestly, I'd love to tell people that divine timing is none of our business. Like, it's none of our business as people to know what is going on, like what Spirit's plan is. We just need to know the step in front of us. And Spirit is saying today, right now, in this moment, you need to focus on getting your act together. But it's not like in a way that's like criticizing you for how you've been doing things. It is them telling you very blatantly, because it's almost like they've been sending you signs. And it's not that you've been ignoring them, but maybe you haven't really been in a place to receive them, or you've been feeling like, I can't receive this right now, or like I'm not able to go at a snail's pace. I'm not able to take the rest that I know I need. I can't take that beat that I need. And it's almost like Spirit's like, you have a specific beat. You're at the part of the song now where it's slowing down, and you just keep wanting to speed it up. I keep saying like, I'm going to the beat of my own drum, and I don't care what Spirit tells me. I don't care what anyone else tells me. But Spirit's like, this is necessary if you want to if you want to keep building what the thing that you want to create. I'm feeling like there's something that you want to create, or there's a mountain, or there's a mountain that you want to climb. There's something that you want to create, but it's almost like, you're carrying so much stuff that you can't get up the mountain. And Spirit's like, you need to take some time to drop this stuff for a second, relax your muscles so you can heal a little bit, and then you can take what you need from that. But Spirit's like, you have to sort through your burdens first. You have to sort through everything that you're carrying and figure out what you need to take with you. And that's why slowing down is important, because you need to lighten your load. So, number 2. So that first one was number 1 this is your first card, which is number 1. This is card number 12, your second card. Take care of yourself. It says, don't explain yourself, embrace yourself. Take care of yourself and indulge yourself without offering a long explanation or justification. Embrace imperfection and your flawsomeness. I love that word, actually. Or simply being awesome in spite of, and sometimes because of, your flaws. Practice unconditional self-love. Authenticity and eccentricity are empowering now. Honor the most honest expression of yourself. Life is too short to pretend to be anybody else. Now, that's actually something that echoed in my mind this morning, and I was like, how does that apply? Because I couldn't figure out how it applied to my life, so it makes sense that it would try to be channeled through a collective reading. I heard something along the lines of, like, you don't need to explain yourself. So some of you might have scenarios in your head of, like, okay, like, for example, if you are, I don't know, like, let's say you're at work or whatever, and then you do, like, a very specific set of tasks every day. And maybe you're somebody who typically goes above and beyond, and you do like some extra, like you help other people, you do all this other stuff at work, and then you're like, you come in the one day and you're just not feeling it. Like, you're not feeling it. You feel like you need to slow down a little bit. You feel like you're burning out, and you might need to dial back to your normal duties and kind of put like your minimal effort forward for that day. And you don't need to justify that to anybody, because everyone has those days. Everyone can have those days, and you are doing the most and then some on the daily. So it's fine to take that day. You don't need to reminisce about all of the times that you worked yourself into the ground, because I feel like I feel like you're somebody who's made progress on this already. You're somebody who, like, I know I need breaks and I'm doing better and I'm taking care of myself a lot better. But it's almost like there's like a long way to go. Spirit doesn't want you to fall into those past habits. If you're somebody who's felt like you've done the work on this already and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting into that where I'm taking on too much again, like, it's just going to be not a repeating cycle. So it's not like, oh, like I have to look forward to dealing with this all of the time. Like, you're learning and you're growing from it, but you'll still be exposed to the same scenario again and again. And it's challenging for you because you care and you want to put forth that effort either for yourself or for others. But that rest, it's almost like you're learning the importance of resting yourself. It's important to, it's important that you don't justify it. Because it's almost like there's a part of you that's almost like trying to convince yourself, like, this is why I need to take a break. And you need to find the reasons, or it's like, or you find yourself thinking, is that a good enough reason to take a break? Yes, 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 yes. I don't know if you needed to hear that from me or somebody else, but yes, that is a good enough reason. Whatever you're thinking is a good enough reason to take a break. You fucking feel like it, excuse my language, but if you fucking feel like it, take a break. Like, you don't need to know the specifics. You don't need to know that for yourself. The people involved, even if they get very grouchy and very pointed and they're like, okay, well, why do you need this break? It's none of your business. Like, it's none of your business. And it's your balance and it's your life. And you don't need to justify that to anyone. Especially those of you who are putting up boundaries. For those of you who allowed others in, you allowed others to go too far. And it's almost like now you are telling people, no, I'm not going to share this part of my life with you. I'm not going to let you know all of the stuff about me. I'm not going to invite you into my home for, I just heard like sexcapades. So some of you could be like putting up boundaries for like a casual relationship that you're getting diminishing returns on, or you're feeling like you're not receiving something, like you're not receiving that equal exchange, or it's not serving you anymore, and you're like, okay, well, I need this to not be a thing anymore. But it kind of reminds me of that situation, this feeling that I'm getting of putting up boundaries. And you don't need to explain those boundaries. You could just say very simply, this is where I'm drawing the line. And if people go, well, why? What's your reason? Then they might like ask very pointed questions. I can't help but feel like there are some invasive energies at play where like they gotta know your business, and it's like they don't need to know your business. And this is your affirmation that they don't need to know your business. Nobody else needs to know your business. Like, you do that for you. So long as we're being kind, you don't have to put up your boundaries like an electric fence. Of course not. You don't have to zap everybody that comes by and be like, how dare you even think to cross this boundary when they've crossed it before, because you've allowed it to. But now you're in a better space and you're like, okay, you're understanding. It's not like you were in the wrong or anything. It's just you've realized that, okay, like, I am at a point in my journey where this agreement, this arrangement, or you crossing these lines or like invading my space, like, you're a little too close now and I don't want you that close anymore. Like, things change, relationships evolve, and the situations around you evolve. So allow them to evolve and allow these people to evolve out and away from you. I don't know why I'm getting it's a particular person for some of you. For some of you, it's a particular situation. Allow them to evolve away from you. They might offer resistance. That is not your problem. Next card we have, this is the third card, and this is number 6. Move energy through your body. So I just heard work it. So before I even read this, I'm getting someone doing yoga, somatic movement, any type of tapping, any type of moving the energy through your body, because for some of you, it's causing a lot of anxious built up energy. And honestly, working out, not only does it help get the endorphins flowing, and it has all of those scientific hormones and benefits for your body, but it also serves like a spiritual purpose too. I find that like the spiritual and the science work hand in hand, because it's all energy, it's all science that just hasn't been discovered yet. And it's just once you move your body and get like, especially, I don't know, I'm getting stretching, and then also like dynamic movement. Like, I'm getting like stretching to help open up your body a little bit, but then all of a sudden just like I see random jerking, which is why I'm feeling something like somatic movement. Or if you're somebody that goes to the gym, something to move this energy through your body so that it's not wreaking havoc on your insides, so that it's not trapped, so it's not stuck, so you're not sitting with old stale feelings when you can just let it pass through you. Okay, so gentle activity at a pace you can manage might help circulate energy and emotions through you now. This card can also be a reminder to take care of your physical health during your grieving process. Tidying the house, taking a stretch class, or walking outside, or having someone else take you for a drive or a stroll is uplifting. Don't overexert. Caring for the physical body grounds your energy. So maybe that's why I had to share like before I dove into this card, because I don't necessarily feel like it has to be gentle. I do feel like the initial part of it, just to protect your body like from pulling any muscles or like any strenuous exercise. I'm not saying go to the gym and lift 5 tons of weights. What I'm saying is ease into the body and stretch it out, so that way you actually like you can let the energy flow into all of the limbs and in all of the spaces. Okay, so opening up the body in that way and through via like some type of stretching is important. Just make sure that you're doing it safely and that you're not overstretching or overexerting. You listen to your body. Please listen to your body when you do that. That being said, let's dive into your tarot. So I'm using the Mystic Mondays Tarot. I love this art. I will show you all of it. I'm very excited. The King of Wands. The King of Wands, for some of you, divine. So like, I do feel like a divine feminine. This is like, for some of you, this is another person. So the King of Wands could be like another person. This is like a very dynamic energy, and I can't help but feel like this is like a masculine, like a divine masculine, or like some type of, it's almost like they, I'm getting for some of, dang, okay. Sorry, y'all. Let me see if I can like explain this in a way. So for some of you, that's a person or a situation that has exerted too much masculine on you, and there needs to be balance. Now, what do I mean by too much masculine, quote unquote? Now, remember when I said the divine masculine and feminine aren't necessarily ascribed to male, female, or their stereotypical qualities that you might find a lot of people talk about, that, oh, women should be this and men should be this, and like in those set categories. Not necessarily the case, but I do feel like when there is so much power concentrated in the feminine or so much power concentrated in the masculine, then the balance is off. And I can't help but feel like you are in a state right now where you cannot be pushed any longer, or like it doesn't feel right to be pushed. So I do feel like there's a push and pull sometimes. And when you are surrounded by nothing but masculine energy, there is that feeling of imbalance, because you might feel like you crave some of that stillness, some of that receiving, that receptive grace, or that being in the flow thing rather than constantly trying to dictate the flow. I can't help but feel like there is this surrounding masculine force, but it almost feels like it was like closing in on you. So either this was, again, somebody else or a situation that this could be like a boss. This could be like another person in a relationship, like that casual relationship that I was talking about, that some of you might be putting up that boundary for. But it's almost like I feel them pushing in. I feel them constantly trying to do that yang, 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 like that do. But it's coming from a place of they're not very connected with themselves, or like they're out of touch with their needs. So it's almost like they're not seeing, first of all, the effect on you, and some of them don't care. But some of them, like, they're not, the people or the situation, they're not seeing the effect on you, and it's almost like they keep pushing because they have other agendas. I can't help but feel like they have goals that aren't really associated with you, but they're trying to use you to fulfill those goals. That doesn't mean these are bad people. That just means that their energy is just being misdirected. And sometimes when we place the masculine and the feminine in a channel that, and like it's misdirected in locations where it doesn't thrive, then they can appear to feel a little bit toxic for us, a little bit toxic for our situation. I throw around the word toxic. I want to say that very lightly because I think it is a blanket statement that a lot of people use, and I don't like how it somehow in our minds, like when we use it, it turns people evil, and I don't like taking humanity away from people through words. I don't like that. But it just feels like they just don't see. They don't see, they only care about the goal, or there's only like there's this goal, or in the situation there is like an end point or an end goal, and then everybody else is just pawns. Like I'm getting a very Machiavellian, like if you ever heard of Machiavelli, where he says the end justifies the means, that's what I feel like the situation is. But that's where the attention needs to come back on yourself. And I do feel like this is others, not necessarily yourself. But some of you could be channeling this King of Wands energy and saying like, enough is enough. And this is where you keep up your boundaries. This is where you put it up and kind of, it's almost like sometimes like when you have people who are misdirecting their masculine energy, it helps to put up, like harness your own divine masculine energy to say, no, you can still like, I wouldn't say there's like a hardcore difference, because again, it's a balance. We hold both masculine and feminine. But for this particular scenario, I would say that mirror their energy, but not in the same way that they are. I would say mirror their energy firmly and for the end goal of keeping them out or keeping yourself protected. So being like, nope, this is my boundary and you may not cross. You have the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is being a leader. And in this particular deck, when I look at this image, the first thing that comes to mind is you want to reach for the sun and you want to have more fun. That's not typically what the Six of Wands means. The Six of Wands is a very leadership card, but I can't help but feel like in this scenario, Divine Feminine wants you to be that leader for yourself. It's almost like you're your mascot here. You're like your only mascot here. You might have other supporters on the sidelines, but you are going to be your main advocate. So that's why you have to stand up and draw up those boundaries. And some of you have to withdraw for a little bit to be with yourself and kind of go in hermit mode. But the Six of Wands is trying to, it's almost like you're craving, like something's missing. Something's missing, and that missing thing is fun. So maybe that's why you felt a little bit out of balance, or you felt too stressed or pressed or pushed by other people, and maybe that, or like whatever energies you're surrounded by. And I can't help but feel like you haven't been incorporating enough fun, and that might actually be part of the balance issue. You have the Knight of Pentacles here. The Knight of Pentacles, I'm getting for some of you, you might run apprenticeships, or you might be teaching someone else, or might be responsible for teaching someone else. I don't know why I'm getting like this mentorship type of vibe where like you are responsible for somebody, or that like, no, I'm getting that. That's a very direct message for some of you, is feeling responsible for somebody else. And that weight, that like that might not be a weight that you're used to carrying, or that might be a weight that you have to balance a little bit more, like taking on the extra duty of maybe training somebody at work, for example, or taking on, if you agree with a friend to help them learn, I don't know, I'm pulling this out of my ass, learn how to garden or whatever. That's still something you're adding to your plate. So moving your balance around, and like how far are you willing to go for this person? Draw those boundaries now. Think of that for yourself. How far are you willing to go? How much energy are you willing to invest? Because like honestly, people who are learning from you, like some of them might be nice, but a lot of them take what they can get too. So you do have to watch your energy with that. For others who aren't in a mentorship or apprenticeship position, the Knight of Pentacles talks about, no, I think that was it for some of you. The Knight of Pentacles is about planting your seeds and watching them grow. I do feel like it's mainly talking about the mentorship and the apprenticeship. For others, when it comes to your creativity, when it comes to how do I claim this divine masculine or divine feminine energy and lead with it, how do I lead with it, is to just gently plant seeds and watch them grow. And I feel like this is a leisurely pace. You're not just frantically flying around and throwing sunflower seeds and you're not making a machine line of it. Spirit wants you to do this leisurely. They want you to do it in your own pace, in your own time. And then the cards will fall into places they're meant to. I know some of you might feel like you're on deadlines or something. There's like a deadline in place. I see like a looming thing for some of you. But really taking it slow. So you shouldn't be ashamed or being afraid to spend time on fun because you're worried about this deadline coming, right? So that being said, the Four of Pentacles. So for some of you, I can't help but feel like some of you are trying to leave a situation, and that might be part of where this boundaries is coming up, because the Four of Pentacles talks about saving money, talks about saving your resources and withholding them. And especially when I see some of these cards, I can't, like in the placement of them, I can't help but feel like some of you are actually training to get out of your current situation, to get into a new financial situation. And if that's the case, that deadline would make sense, and some other things might make sense. Apply it however you see fit. But whatever the case may be, the Four of Pentacles talks about conserving your resources and keeping them close in your own little box. I love how in this tarot deck, they have their pentacles in this box and it's sealed off. In the traditional tarot, we see this guy holding a pentacle close to his chest. There's one on his head. There's like two at his feet, I think, and then he's just holding them close. And I do feel like while sometimes that card is being interpreted as greed, like, you know, keeping things too close, you need to be more greedy. You need to keep your resources closer to yourself. And again, it's almost like you're just handing things out like they're candies. You're handing out your energy like they're candies. And Divine Feminine is reminding you that save some of that for yourself. Like, you need to bring it all back. Like, you've given too much, now it's time to come in. You've given so much, now bring it back. And it's just going to keep working in cycles, unless, like, I think balance is a myth, honestly. I feel like it's incredibly difficult to achieve, like, the perfect balance in life. Like, there's always going to be stress, worry, anxieties. There's always going to be, like, really, really high fun moments, and there's going to be really down, not so great moments. And that's just, again, the duality of life. But the cycles will be more intense if you put out a lot of your energy, and then, like it's just going to keep working like that, because the energy that goes out has to come back in eventually. And if you don't take the opportunities in your hands, if you don't dictate when you take a break, Spirit will tell you. Spirit will make it so that you take a break. That was told to me through a lot of my injuries. I used to work like 16 to 24-hour days, and I would be ignoring my body. I'd be ignoring the signs, and I would feel, this was before I had my awakening, before I could hear and sense things the way that I do now. But, you know, I would feel a break coming on, and then all of a sudden I would get an injury that would leave me out of the job for weeks. And the amount of energy that I had put out needed to be recovered in that amount of time. So you don't take a break, Spirit's going to make you take a break in some way, and you're not going to like it. So we also have the Hermit, and we just talked about Hermit. So we just talked about the Hermit. So needing to take some time for yourself. And honestly, I feel like for a lot of you, that's self-reflection. Again, there's like some type of disrest or disease on the inside. So getting clear on where you stand, getting clear on those boundaries, and also getting clear on some things that you need to sort through. Some of you might be sitting on a heap of shadow work that you need to do. Some of you might have been like visited by vivid dreams and needing to sort through those things, or some of you might have been thinking about something or not, like maybe falling out of your journaling practices. So that's something to keep in mind too. So how can you lead with your Divine Feminine? And it looks like putting up boundaries and taking, like, declaring that time for yourself is incredibly important. And being like learning to be unashamed. You like the actual physical break is more important. The break of it's an emotional challenge, I'm hearing, for a lot of you to take that break because you feel guilty. You feel like you haven't earned it yet. You feel like breaks don't need to be earned. Like, you're worth it enough. But I have that mentality sometimes too, so I understand it can be difficult. But let's see some other cards here. You have both cards, so I actually mixed two decks together. I have Wild Woman Rising, and I also have Unlocking the Secret Garden Oracle. They're both from the same author and the same artist. So I loved it. I bought both of these decks on separate occasions without realizing they were from the same author and the same artist. Like, look at them. They are very different, but they're both very beautiful. And I was like, holy crap, that's super cool. Oh, and somehow I put my deck down, and you also have the Four of Wands coming up. The Four of Wands is like a happy home, happy family. Happy home, happy family. Some of you just need to stay indoors. Some of you just need to stay in. If you're thinking about going out and doing all of these errands and stuff on your break, that's not a break. Don't do that. Hone in, keep to the home, keep close to your roots today. Keep close to your roots now during this cycle while you sort through your stuff. All right, you have Remember Your Innocence and Believe in the Impossible. I'm going to pull the deck for this. So this is, or I'm going to pull the book. I'm sorry. I'm going to pull the book. These are numbers 25 and 36. So Remember Your Innocence. I'll hold this up as I read it. I don't know these cards as well, so I will be pulling from the book. So, your nature is innocent, pure, and beloved. When conflict arises and you are tempted to punish or condemn yourself, remember that at your core is an innocent soul who is worthy of every beautiful and lovely thing. Course correct. Hold your actions accountable, but hold your inner heart as precious. When we honor the pure heart we were born with, wild woman rises. So again, don't flag yourself. Don't, like, I don't know, I see someone just flaying themselves. Don't do that. That's like a cycle of self-shame and punishment, and Divine Feminine is reminding you, like, this is something to hold close to your heart. This is something to cherish. This is something that is very much needed in your time and in your cycle at this moment. It is very needed, is what they're saying. And they're actually coming, like, I'm getting the chills as I'm saying this. They're coming through very strong and gentle. Like, this is interesting because I actually see it in my own image of, like, an unconditional loving Mother Mary, or some type of Divine Feminine leader on the other side. She's very gentle. Wow. Coming through as like a very kind and sweet angel. But she's saying, like, let us nurture you. The fog will clear. She's saying the fog will clear if you take that time to sit in it and not try it. It's almost like you've been trying to fight your way out. So sit in the fog, sit with the fog, and let it clear on its own. So that's the message with that card. We also have believe in the impossible. This is 36. Hummingbirds are flying jewels capable of outrageous winged feats. These aerodynamic wonders defy the odds of flight. These tiny powerhouses of possibility appear before you right now to remind you that impossible things happen every day. Don't forget, there are things in your life right now that you previously thought impossible. You are living a variety of circumstances right now that not too long ago were a dream, a goal, an ambition. You are growing into your next miracle this very minute. Let yourself believe it. When we loosen reality's tight constraints on possibility, our life expands with potential and wild woman rises. So again, this is what I mean by, like, leaving a cycle. So maybe you've left a cycle and you're ready to dive nose first, just like a dolphin. I see you diving nose first in. You got to learn to play like dolphins first. Dolphins are very playful. Dolphins are intuitive and psychic. They are very mischievous, I think. But that's the one thing, is that they're very playful and they're very carefree. So that's the spirit of the dolphin that comes through. So before you nosedive into the next thing, nosedive for the sake of having fun and for taking this rest. You need to believe it. You need to believe it. Sit with yourself and offer yourself grace that you wish somebody else. Honestly, talk to yourself in a mirror. Pretend like you're talking to somebody else. And I swear, if you pretend like you are talking to this very nice, benevolent being, it will start to talk back. That's what my intuition does. People think that this is like this amazing gift that only a select few have. Everybody has it, and spirit is channeled through our creativity. And some of us are more open than others, but if you ever wanted to harness that intuition, have a conversation with yourself and sit down and imagine this divine, caring, loving person. What would they say to you? That is spirit speaking through that to you. So long as it's not and it's improvised. Spirit says improvise. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Don't overthink it. But think of, like, does it sound benevolent? Does it sound caring? If it doesn't sound that way and it sparks more fear than anything, that is not from a place of love. So try again. Improvise. First thing comes to mind. A lot of you are going to get it right off the bat. A lot of you are going to hear that thing and be like, oh shit, that's spirit. You got it. You got it. And I also want to pull one more card from this deck before I roll some dice for you, and then I'll let you go. But this is Work Your Light Oracle Cards by Rebecca Campbell. Whoo, I did not mean to drop that, but I guess it wants to do that. So it wants to come out. And that's interesting because I wanted to say this with the Four of Wands. There was something in the Four of Wands about this, and it comes out to confirm another card, so I will talk about that in a moment. Break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. So again, we just almost touched on it a little bit, the improvise. This is actually how I psychically channel a lot, is that I improvise. Like, it comes to my mind, like it pops up in my mind and it goes on paper. And for a lot of you, you are rewriting your future simply for just working through the problem and sitting in the fog. For a lot of you, again, if you've been falling out of your journal practice or you've been avoiding writing about a specific topic in your life that might be causing some fog in your reality, this is your sign to jump in on that, because again, that writing thing is coming up. So I feel like for some of you that could help. The fourth house in astrology talks about our ancestry, our roots. And remember when I said to stay at home, stay in your safe space, connect with your roots. You connecting with your roots at home in your life and getting back in touch with yourself, and also connecting to your ancestors through like healing yourself. You are healing the ancestral line. So I went over this in a previous reading, I think, but briefly we talked about how, you know, whatever healing you're doing, even if you're not close with your family, even if you like roll your eyes like to the point of them rolling out of your skull, down the steps, whatever, you're like, oh my God, I hate my family. Or it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stand them. You know, they were awful, blah, 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 blah. They have greater understanding now that they're on the other side, your ancestors. And some of you might be like, ugh, no. But they're there, and whether you like it or not, they're all connected to you. So they're still cheering you on, because yes, they'll still have work to do in the next life. They're always evolving souls. You're an evolving soul as well, but you still carry things from, like, you still carry some of their issues from their lifetime. And then your kids, if should you choose to have any, will also carry your issues through that lifetime. But that's just the circle of life. That's a cycle of life. It happens with us all. So that being said, that doesn't mean life isn't worth living, by the way. It doesn't mean, oh my God, I can't have kids because I'm not passing any of this on. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in yourself that we can heal. It's not a destination. It is a journey, and it will take many lifetimes to work through. So don't feel like you have to accomplish this mountain. Don't feel like that you have to face a problem and not have an emotional response to it. You have to have an emotional response to it. You have to feel into it. So allowing yourself to feel into that, allowing yourself to feel into your grief, stay on your heels with it. Stay on your toes. Spirit's like, stay on your heels. I'm like, what is that? Stay on your toes, stay on your heels, you know, keep standing with it. So just make sure that you are facing it. Make sure that you're facing it, and then you're healing, you know, you're breaking patterns already. You're healing from the ancestral line. You're healing yourself. And that's a lifelong journey, so take your time. 202 from Angel Numbers by Kyle Gray. God is guiding you to know yourself more deeply. One more time. God is guiding you to know yourself more deeply. God, however you identify, love, source, whatever. So it is through this that you will be able to understand yourself on a deeper level. When we understand ourselves more, we can connect more with our intuition, and we can determine which direction to go next. Because like I said, intuition is all about understanding the next step. One foot in front of the other, and spirit specifically, like the divine feminine is coming through of today. Focus on today, get through today, sit with yourself today, and love yourself today. That being said, thank you for sitting with me in this channel. I hope that this helped you. If this resonated with you, go ahead, like and subscribe and all the things. That way you can keep up to date with everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm posting. And then also don't forget that I posted something in the community tab about zodiac sign readings. So go ahead and cast your vote as to whether you would want to see weekly zodiac signs or whether you want to see bi-weekly zodiac signs in accordance with the new moon or full moon. So every 2 weeks there would be like one reading for every sign. It'll be like Aries new moon, Sagittarius full moon type of deal, right? And it will be that particular reading for the next 2 weeks, or centered around that new moon, full moon time. There's also a section for like whether you prefer collective readings or pick a card readings, which I will be able to sprinkle sporadically throughout the schedules, depending on whether I do weekly or whether I do weekly or bi-weekly will depend on how frequently those collective readings get posted, but you can cast your votes there as to which you would prefer, what is your favorite, what you would like to see. And then those changes will go into effect probably mid-March or like the next new moon or full moon or whatever. So I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.